Britain's David Coulthard has to be a street fighter today if he's going to win the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time. Mika Hakkinen, his McLaren teammate, again has the qualifying edge, but it's a very close call. Michael Schumacher has a magnificent record in Monty. Will his number come up again? It's a beautiful day. The harbour at Monte Carlo, the place to see and be seen at this weekend. Good afternoon to you all from the ITV balcony. We have a magnificent vantage point up here. It'll take some wave to reach us, I can assure you. 150,000 people or so crammed into the tiny principality, a place that's transformed by the arrival of the travelling Formula One circus. Two months' work in less than a couple of minutes. Tony, what are they doing racing here at all?
There's not enough room even for the Brulins Brigade to swing their poodles around, let alone race a Formula One car. And when the local resident drivers like Heinz-Harald Frentzen go shopping down here, they can't believe it either, but they do. They accept the huge challenge of Monte Carlo. But it also humbles the Formula One gods. Senna crashed here in '88, Schumacher crashed in '96, tasted the same sort of arm coat.
Okay, well, those drivers will tell you that the qualifying session here is the most vital of the season. It's impossible to overtake when you're crawling through the streets in a hire car, and the Grand Prix itself is no different. James Allen reports now on an enthralling qualifying hour.
The glitterati were all out in force. Prince Albert of Monaco. Sly Stallone gets all artistic. And Captain Niki Lauda drops in. Qualifying was always going to be critical, and the McLarens set the early pace. David Coulthard edging out Mika Hakkinen with just 20 minutes gone. Michael Schumacher had done just one lap in the morning practice after a drive shaft failure. He was forced to use the spare car, but it didn't slow him down much.
That's incredible. 21.6, that's absolutely incredible from Michael Schumacher.
But there was a new contender for pole, Giancarlo Fisichella. Fastest in the morning practice, he followed through in the afternoon in spectacular style.
Collected it up, no problem, total confidence, just buried his foot again.
As if Ferrari didn't have enough problems, Eddie Irvine biffed the wall in a big way at Ras Kass, forcing the mechanics to convert Michael Schumacher's repaired race car to Irvine's settings. In the meantime, David Coulthard retook pole from Hakkinen as the magic 1 minute 20-second barrier drew close. Mika Salo had been on fire all weekend, pushing the arrows up to unheard-of heights. Third in the morning, a gearbox problem meant he couldn't do better than 8th in the afternoon. Up front, though, the other Mika was on the attack, looking for his 4th pole of the season.
Fastest in the first sector, fastest in the second sector. 0.3 of a second faster than David Coulthard.
In contrast, Ricardo Rosset was heading for his 2nd consecutive non-qualification, but he did find a solution to Monaco's notorious parking problem.
A lot of people here are really debating whether Ricardo Rosset is Formula One material.
Well, it's a fairly short debate, Murray.
Heinz-Harald Frentzen gave Williams something to smile about with 5th place, but Jacques Villeneuve had a total nightmare. His best lap ruined by Rosset's spin, he ended up 13th, his worst ever Formula One qualifying position. Also enduring the weekend from hell, Damon Hill. Both Jordans way off the pace, Damon down in 15th.
Looks like he's out of the Arrows frying pan in 1997 into the Jordan fire of 1998.
But joy for McLaren. Häkkinen's pole is 1.5 seconds slower than last year, but it's close. 1 second separates the top 5.
Feels great. Really unbelievable, I tell you. I'm so glad. I'm really happy. And I mean, Monaco, you have to concentrate much harder than anywhere else in a Grand Prix circuit.
It's viewed as the ultimate challenge for drivers because you just can't afford to make mistakes. And the guys who have won here have had great records elsewhere. You know, there's been a lot of world champions who have won on the circuit. So it's an important race. We'll see what happens.
I want to get on the podium. I know it's very difficult, especially to win a race, but there is a good possibility.
We had to choose the hard tyre, which is a good choice for the race, actually. But as far as I know, it's even the McLarens and Fisichella is on a hard tyre. So that's not a good prospect. See what happens.
The car handles better than most other tracks this year. Just we had a terrible qualifying session today.
You must be getting a bit desperate for those new parts.
Yeah, I'm very desperate to finish this weekend and to then concentrate on the new parts.
It's dangerous to pick on one aspect. You know, we have to say that as a package, we're just not where we want to be, and so it's going to be a tough race.
So the grid, both McLarens on the front row for the 5th time. Best of the season for Fisichella's Benetton. Michael Schumacher always a threat. Frentzen very happy with 5th. Wirtz 6th in his first F1 drive here. Irvine in the 2nd Ferrari alongside Salo. Trulli's Prost sandwiched by the Saubers of Herbert and Alesi. Then Deniz. 13th, the worst ever for world champion Villeneuve with Barrichello's Stewart. Jordan's devastated to see Hill and Ralf Schumacher down there ahead of Magnussen, Panis, the Minardis and Takagi's Tyrrell. Once again, Rosset fails to qualify. Well, at this stage, I must tell you to stay with us after the race because we'll be giving you question 3 in that terrific competition. You can win a VIP trip for 2 on July the 12th. In the afternoon, you'll go to the RAC British Grand Prix. In the evening, you'll hop across the channel to see the World Cup final. Details coming up after the race. OK, we look ahead to the 56th Monaco Grand Prix. All the mechanics moan about the cramped conditions. The race itself, though, is a total one-off. Absolutely unique. And our man Murray Walker's seen more than most.
Jim, it's for sure that if the Monaco Grand Prix hadn't been held here since the 1920s, there certainly wouldn't be one now. Run a Grand Prix around streets that are too narrow and hilly to pass on? You must be mad, they'd say. But Monaco is magic.
Monaco has thrilled to the sight of Grand Prix for nearly 70 years. It's the ultimate test, and one of the masters of Monaco was the greatest ever, Juan Manuel Fangio, for Alfa Romeo and Maserati. Fangio's friend and teammate Sterling Moss was a 3 times winner, again for Maserati and for Lotus. British drivers continued to dominate in the 60s, winning 8 of 10 races, largely thanks to Graham Hill, who became a legend of the Monaco streets. Jim Clark was arguably the greatest talent never to win in the Principality, more often due to car failure than driver error. Meanwhile, Hill finished 5 times a victor, 3 of them for BRM. But it was a young Scotsman by the name of Stewart who was the star of the 70s. Already a winner for BRM, his Tyrrells took him to further victories in 1971 and 73. Now the owner of his own team, Jackie remains the last British driver to win at Monaco 25 years ago.
And the Stewarts had a great day here last year when the Rubens Barrichello finished second. The noise behind us, you're missing no action at all. They're warming up for the race due off in just under half an hour's time. Now, Tony, according to history anyway, about half the drivers here can expect not to finish.
Well, only 4 finished in 1966 and only 4 finished in 1996. It can be a race of attrition because the concentration factor is so high and because there are so many things to hit. This race can throw up all sorts of problems. You know, you can have multiple shunts, cars have gone in the harbour in the past. It's a very, very tough race.
The 2 McLarens at the front of the grid, any possibility of collusion there going into the first bend?
There's a chat about team orders that David Coulthard might have to say after you, but while he does that, Michael Schumacher and Fisichella are going to look for any gaps and try and propel through. And don't forget, the McLarens failed to get round the end of the first lap last year.
Indeed they did. OK, Tony, thank you very much indeed. Right then, let's just take a closer look at the circuit itself. Amazingly, only a couple of the drivers have actually won here. Michael Schumacher with that hat-trick of victories, and Olivier Panis, who drove the Ligier home, very surprisingly, that in 1996. OK, let's join Martin Brundle with the words, and at the wheels, Giancarlo Fisichella in his Benetton.
The Monaco Grand Prix, just over 2 miles for the lap and at an average speed of around 80 miles an hour, the slowest of the year, but probably the most exciting. What a challenge. You're in the pit straight up to 175 miles an hour, top gear. Now try to find a straight line. It's bumpy under braking, Sandefjord. Second gear, 50 miles an hour. Oh, we just touched the barrier on the outside. Now we're heading uphill. It's a little kinky up here. Mind the manhole covers. Over the top of the hill, 160 into Casino Square. Now bring it over to the left and skim the barrier. Be careful, it juts out. Now turn right, 80 miles an hour. The track falls away. Up to 135 in fourth. The road is crammed. Now bring it over to the right. There's a drain. Get the wheels in the drain. There's more grip. Accelerate towards the Lowe's Hotel, but don't check in. Left, first gear, full lock. Sometimes not enough lock. The inside rear wheels spin. Drive across the pavement, but there's nothing pedestrian as you head towards the barrier to Portier. Now wide, get on the power, loads of traction into the darkness of the tunnel. Straddle the manhole cover, 145 miles an hour through the right-hander. Brilliant sunshine, 175, brake hard. Yellow flags waving, could be danger ahead. Over the curb, the wheels will spin, take a straight line. Green flag, you're clear, go. Up to 145 miles an hour towards the back. Mind the barrier on the right, skim the barrier on the left and squeeze the throttle. You're doing 100 miles an hour, look for those curbs. Left, right, is bumpy on the exit. Now the final part of the swimming pool, second gear, 50 miles an hour. Easy to hit the barrier on the left, accelerate hard towards the Rascasse restaurant. Fourth gear, 135, you're braking, you're turning, downshifting, understeer there, the front won't grip quite enough. Now Anthony Noakes corner, it's very important, turn in wide, use the curb on the exit, drive underneath your pit board, you're into a new lap, 78 laps for this Grand Prix.
What a ride that is. Well, Tony, you make a mistake here. I mean, you've had it basically, haven't you?
Yeah, you have. There is no margin for error whatsoever. Unlike some of the sort of modern tracks, Magny-Cours, where you've got the yards of manicured lawns and you've got the big runoff areas where you can make a mistake and run over a curb. If you run over the curb here, the Armco barrier or the wall is right there, and it will eat your suspension, it will break your car. If you're just kissing the Armco barrier, however, you're probably doing a very fast lap.
I mean, these guys are fantastic concentrators, but the concentration level here is so high that come the end of a couple of hours at Monaco, they're absolutely drained.
Absolutely drained. We were talking to Georgia Hill last night, and she said even just after qualifying, when Damon Hill came back to the motorhome, she said she could see the whites of his eyes. They were like out on saucers. He was really working so hard. So you can imagine after nearly 2 hours of motor racing and that concentration and above all the precision, it's absolutely draining.
Good. OK, Tony, thank you very much indeed. Let me just refresh your minds about the standings as we enter race 6 of the championship. David Coulthard really has to keep Mika Hakkinen in his sights. The Scots, the only driver to have scored in every race so far. The Ferraris of Schumacher and Irvine, third and fourth. And McLaren 30 points clear in the Constructors' Championship. Remember, Ferrari said 98 would be their year. As for Benetton, their aim is to overtake the Williams. Well, really, it's the complete McLaren package that's taken them to the top so far. The man in charge, Ron Dennis, will tell you it's very much a team effort. But last year, he went to great lengths to secure the services of Adrian Newey, the Williams technical director. So how important is that Newey factor? Louise Goodman reports.
First and second for McLaren, this time in Brazil. It's become a familiar sight this season. The Silver Arrows' domination has coincided with the arrival of Adrian Newey. He built his reputation at Williams, but now he's putting a smile on their faces at McLaren.
I try to be involved in most areas. I have to say that when it comes to electronics, then I get completely lost. But on the mechanical side, the aerodynamic side, and also the setting up of the cars at the racetrack, I try to be involved in all those areas.
That's reported that you moved from Williams because you wanted to have more input into the overall running of the team. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's a fair summary. As I said, I joined in 1990 as chief designer, and I've been there for 6 years in exactly the same position. I really wanted to have a bit more involvement in the management and running of the company.
Adrian is an exceptional talent, very experienced in all the disciplines relating to the technology of Grand Prix cars, with significant emphasis on his aerodynamic knowledge.
As McLaren has improved, Williams has gone backwards. But just how important is the Newey factor?
What we can do is look at teams' performances and try and find the common denominator, and you'd have to say that without him, Williams aren't doing so well, and with him, McLaren are doing better than they were last year.
In motor racing, your performance, or the performance of the team, is judged every 2 weeks. It's a very public activity. And that can be a good thing if it's going well, and a bad thing if it's going badly, obviously. We've had a very good start. It's a matter of trying to develop it and trying to keep us at the front.
Quietly spoken, but a very impressive man, Adrian Newey. If you're wondering about the noise behind us and you're just joining us, you're not missing any action at all. The race itself will be off in 20 minutes' time. OK, Tony, how important is Adrian Newey in regards to McLaren's success?
I think he's the final ingredient. He's the catalyst that's pulled the whole thing together and made it such a great car, a winning car. But, you know, he's got flair, vision, he's got style, but he did want to be part of that Williams management process, and he totally disagreed with the sacking of Damon Hill, which is why he left. And, of course, that's McLaren's gain. And where are Williams now?
Absolutely, they are struggling, and signs are they'll struggle this weekend as well. But, of course, we shall see. Lots of faces around the circuit. Sly Stallone talking about making a Formula One movie. The Duchess of York would probably like to star in that movie, I would imagine. And Liz Hurley, who probably could star in that movie. There we are, just one or two of the faces around the paddock here. Another very big imposing figure around the place is the WBC World Boxing Champion Lennox Lewis. Bit of a motor racing nut on the quiet, and Lennox is talking now to Louise Goodman.
Lennox, this is your first Grand Prix.
Very first, and I'm looking forward to it.
What do you think of it so far?
I think it's great. It's definitely a nice day, and tons of people around, and you can tell they're all excited, and I just want to get up there and actually see what's going on. I have someone in my pit actually talking to me and telling me what's going on in the race and the different speeds and the different gearing systems and who's supposed to win.
Who's been telling you that?
There's a French driver up there, and he's giving me lessons and giving me some history on it.
And who did he say was going to win?
Well, he said it's a toss-up. He said definitely if it rains, David Schumacher should do good farewell because of his skill of driving. So.
Do you follow motor racing at all?
No, but definitely I'm going to start.
Do you think there are any comparisons that can be drawn between this sport and your sport?
Well, it's definitely a sport where you use your concentration, and you have to stay focused, just like in boxing. And if you don't keep your focus, you'll make a mistake, and that's what's going to cost you. And it applies in boxing as well.
So you were following anybody in particular today?
No, just come to watch the races.
We'll forgive him, David Schumacher. If you want to point out the mistake, you're welcome. Lennox Lewis joining us at the Monaco Grand Prix this afternoon, and lots of British fans here as well, all searching for the best possible vantage points.
Well, an excellent place to watch the Monaco Grand Prix is from the balcony of someone's apartment. I'm here on the start-finish line, which is fantastic because you can see right down into the drivers' cockpits as they go past. You can also see about 2/3 of the circuit. Now, to rent this place would be about £3,000 a month. To buy it, about 350 grand. Just don't forget your earplugs.
If it's glamour you're looking for, it really doesn't come much better than this, a boat on Monaco Harbour. It's not a bad place to watch the race from either. You can see the cars as they come out of the tunnel and follow them along the harbour front, and there's a big screen right opposite, so you really don't miss any of the action. Lots of the teams entertain their top sponsors on board boats like this, or you can buy yourself a place amongst the high rollers for about £3 grand. Just don't forget the headache pills.
At the other end of the spectrum, of course, you could always come and sit here with the hardcore fans for just £15 up on the hill, and further up it's actually free. OK, they don't come past with chilled Chablis and canapes every 15 minutes, but it's not a bad view, is it?
Certainly isn't. You can see everything up this side of the track. You can see everything up to the Rascasse as it goes down the straight, and you see the pit lines too.
Sounds good to me.
And this looks very good to me, James. This is where we are, the castle right above us. Down you come to the ITV balcony, and if we just look across, well, there we are. I wouldn't care to make a guess how many billions of pounds worth of hardware there is in that particular harbour. And as we look down below us, or how many millions of pounds worth of deals are being done this weekend in the paddock at those motorhomes. When you rejoin us, Martin Brundle will be taking his stroll down the pit lane. Welcome back to ITV's coverage of the Monaco Grand Prix on a superb Sunday afternoon. And waiting for us, a man who's driven 10 times in this particular race and knows everything about Monte Carlo. It's Martin Brundle. Hi, Martin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the grid. I remember a very emotional scene down here in '94 when all the drivers came to this spot for a minute's silence for Ayrton Senna. Wendling was already in hospital having a coma, and this spot has a very strange feeling. It was the daftest thing we could have done. A lot of the young drivers lost their head in the race, but anyway, we raced nonetheless. Let's have a word with Elizabeth Hurley. She's here on the grid. See if I can you follow me, Keith? Elizabeth Hurley, hello.
Hi there.
You're soaking up the atmosphere. Are you a Grand Prix fan?
I never have been before. This is my first time, and now I'm going to become a groupie.
Yeah, what do you like most about it?
Actually, the boys are pretty cute. I can't believe some of the ones I've just been introduced to. It's all very exciting.
So the technology and the speed at the moment hasn't impressed you as much as the boys?
I haven't really seen any speed yet. I'm looking forward to that. We're going up to the first corner, as for the takeoff, or whatever they call it here.
It's called the start, usually, but... Okay. So, I mean, have you picked any favourites you want to win yet? I mean, have you seen anybody you think, I'd like him to win the Grand Prix?
Yes, the Irish guy.
Eddie Irvine. Yeah. You're an Eddie Irvine fan. Why is that?
Well, I have to tell you, I really don't know the faintest thing about Grand Prix racing. But just looking around, looking at the cars, looking at the boys, all that, I think he's the cutest. He gets my vote, and all the rest of the girls, I think, from whom I've spoken to.
Well, I'm incredibly jealous, but I hope you have a very good first Grand Prix and that you do really become a Grand Prix fan.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you.
Thank you. OK, Keith, let's go and see if we can find... This grid is absolutely full of sort of megastars, really. Goodness knows where they've all gone or whether they'll talk to us or whatever. Sliced, and I want to talk to Max. I want to talk to Max Mosley as well, if we can find him. He's agreed to talk to us. Keith, can you see Sly anywhere? We're going to have to ask around. He walked past us earlier on. You know, bide your time for a little while we try and find them, but we're running very late on the grid here. Most of the drivers are getting back into the cars. We'll wander through. We'll wander through. And here's Max Mosley. Let's have a quick word with Max, the president of the FIA, the motorsport body. Max, a quick word for ITV. This is the jewel in the crown, yeah? Do you think that?
Well, it always seems like that to us, and everybody you can think of comes here.
A lot of people think that Formula One cars shouldn't, not including me, I hasten to add, shouldn't go around this kind of racetrack because of safety or whatever. Well, what's your feelings on that?
I think it's probably about as safe as any other track because the speeds in most places are relatively low. But of course, all you people say it's like driving a bicycle around the sitting room.
Yeah, absolutely. Formula One's getting bigger and bigger. Is there anything you want to change, or do you think if it ain't broke, don't fix it, or have you got plans for the future?
Well, I think we'd like to see the overtaking a little bit easier. Not completely like it used to be in the old days, but a bit easier. But on the whole, it seems to be working reasonably well. But one should never say that, because something will immediately go wrong.
Now, I know you are a true Formula One fan. You must support somebody. You must have a twinkle in your eye for somebody. You think, I really hope they win.
Well, I'm always a little bit for the underdog, and at the moment one has to say Michael Schumacher's the underdog. So I'd quite like to see them win, actually.
Well, I'm not sure he'd appreciate being called the underdog. What about young Fisichella here on the second row of the grid? I mean, that would be great for Formula One, wouldn't it? Somebody coming in like that?
Terrific. That was a sensational performance, but of course, and it could easily happen. Any of the, well, you know better than me, any of the first 6 or 8 could win.
OK, Max, thanks for your time, and see you later. Back to you in the studio, Jim.
And thanks to our little cutie Martin Brundle down there and his cameraman Keith Wilson. Well, the Monaco Grand Prix, really one of the very special events of this or any other sporting year. The race that deep down every Formula One driver wants to win. Half of them probably won't finish today. It'll be race time when you rejoin us.